Okay. Okay, cool. Hi. How's it going, boys and girls? Welcome to the How's It Going podcast. Today we have my first ever 陌生人 guest, as in I did not know this person personally before the podcast. This is literally the first time we are having a conversation. Why this person came on my radar, basically a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, sent me a video telling me that, hey, have you heard of this girl? She made a video on YouTube called "I Left TikTok in 4 months," and it got pretty viral in, I don't know, Singapore, Malaysia, probably outside Asia, maybe also, as well. And so I looked at it, and the reason why my friends shared it to me was he felt that he could relate, and I watched it and I felt I could relate as well. And I have a podcast. I'm trying to build up my rapport in the content creation world. So I reached out, contacted. So here we have an ex-Googler, ex-TikToker, is that a word? I don't know. Jamie Lin Ying Ying. Can I call you Ying Ying? I have a best friend called Ying Ying as well.
Yeah, it's actually it's my real name. It's Jamie is not my IC.
Oh, okay. Ling Ying Ying.
Yeah, Lim, Lim Yin Yin. But I gave it to myself because I studied in Australia and no one could pronounce. I mean, they could pronounce it, but Australians tend to draw their eyes out and becomes an A. So it became
Yang
Yan.
Yan.
Yeah.
All right.
So I was like, I think let's just go with Jamie lah.
Okay. Very cool. So, okay, studied in Australia. I think that's where we can start. So, after doing some research on your LinkedIn, I can't narrow down specifically what you do. I was gonna say it's not HR, but it's also very involved with the staff. Like you're very involved with the staff, involved with the in getting talent and things like that. So I don't see the word HR anywhere. So I think it's a bit different from that. Can you like quickly give a description of what you did in uni and what you did after your first job?
Sure. I can start from the start.
Okay,
so maybe, born and bred in Singapore, studying in Singapore all the way up till secondary school. And then after that, I went to Australia to study. Actually, I wanted to study vet science, but didn't do well enough. And also, I'm highly allergic to fur.
Which is why the poodles.
Therefore,
okay.
yes, because they're hypoallergenic, right?
Right.
My dog is absolutely destroying.
Very nice piku.
Sorry. So I studied. I ended up studying law. In the end, wow. I did my foundation year there, so it's kind of like pre-U year. And then I studied law there, but I didn't do well in my degree to want to study law. Also, I think I didn't see myself wanting to do law eventually.
Okay.
But I came back to Singapore anyway, after spending 7 years in Perth, Western Australia. And then when I went into it, my parents were like, why don't you try to do something with your degree? And I had lots of ideas then. I was like, maybe I should go into fitness training, or, I was thinking of starting like a food company, right? With like nutrition and all that. I was very into like health and nutrition back then. They're like, no, just maybe try to do something with your law degree. So I went into this company called Fragaman, where I
know Fragaman.
Yeah. So they do like all those. In the US, it's like a law company, but in Singapore, they do kind of like all your EPs. So if you come here, like foreigners need to have the employment pass, right? The right. Green card. So I was the middleman between the company, the person, and MOM basically. So I facilitated all that, and cool. I eventually got them their green card, so they had the green light to start working, right? Mm-hmm. So I was there for about a year and a half. After that, I was very lucky. One of my mentors in Fragaman, she went to Google and she worked she was a contractor, but 1 year down the road, she was like, hey, do you want to come and try to work at Google? I was like, oh my God, of course, it's Google. Why not, right? So it turns out the opportunity was in this HR. In Google, we call HR people operations. So it was in the people operations team. I was still under contract. So not exactly a Google employee, that just kind of like seconded there. I was quite lucky. I went through like 2 interviews and they were like, yeah, sure, come work here, that sort of thing. And I was really glad because employer or my manager at that time, she really took a chance on me because I have no background in HR. Right, nothing in recruitment. But what my job did was basically anyone who applied to the google.com from APAC,
Careers, okay.
I would be looking at that resume. So I can attest that there is actually someone looking at your resume when you apply to Google.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
You heard
that
it here
was
first, guys. Okay.
yeah, man. At least 1,000 resumes per week
Whoa.
that we went through.
From
So
all
I
over
have
the world?
no, just from the Asia Pacific region.
Okay.
So I've seen over like 100,000 resumes easily.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. More
And
from,
then
more
so
from
you
the
are
tech
the
side.
you are the front line. So the person submits their resume, their information, and you are the first person to lay eyes on it.
Correct.
So
I work
and
with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think something that everyone is on everyone's mind right now is, what are the red flags that will, as soon as you see something on a resume, what are the red flags and what are the blue flags? What are the things that you see on a resume and like, oh, okay, this person is interesting, I will try to contact them, or this person is out of what consideration immediately. Like, what are the things? Can you reveal? Or if you cannot, it's fine.
I mean, it's not specific to Google, but there are a couple of different things I think we look at. Really dependent on where is it specific to the job, or overall, is this a good profile or not? If overall it's a good profile, of course we'll save it. Like, we always want good talent, right?
Okay.
At Google. So, but more often than not, it's usually like their profile is just not what exactly we're looking for that specific job.
Okay.
So usually that's why we're like, okay, reject, or we'll share the profile with someone else in Google. Could be a fit for someone else, right? And that's how we share profiles across. But sometimes it could be small mistakes, or big red flags could be like, 20-page resumes, that sort of thing.
You've seen those?
Or, yeah.
Oh, I thought that it was like a known fact that your resume should be like maximum 2 pages and like, sweet and simple.
Different resumes come through from different areas in APAC, I think.
Okay.
It's very, very interesting. Maybe people know a little bit more now, but that time it was still very interesting. And I think there's a lot of things, surface level kind of like mistakes, right? Typos, your resume looks messy, like things are not aligned, dates are wrong, or if there are lies on it. Okay, that one you don't really know, but
Yeah. But
a
some are
lot
like
of
obvious
different,
lies. Okay.
yeah, a lot of different factors that you see sometimes.
I see. And so something else that I was like thinking when I was building up my resume was, does it matter that I have my face there or not? And does it?
Oh dear.
Oh no! Little baby's angry.
Dogs.
That's okay.
Dogs. Hey. No.
That is okay.
They're always like that. Sorry.
That's okay. Probably some neighbor walking by. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, does it matter? Does it help that if I have my picture like in a circle on the top right, like that? Does it help, or like, is it more visually pleasing, or does it not matter, or are you told not to take that into account?
I think everyone has a different take on that. My own take is don't put a photo. Not sure if you've ever heard of unconscious bias. So basically everyone has their own biases, right? And we tend to like people who look similar to us or have the same kind of like experience as us, that sort of thing, right? But you see, when you put a photo there, you want a company to hire you on the most objective basis, right? And that should be through your achievements and what you have done.
Right.
But just somehow, what if someone sees a name or someone sees like your photo and they're like, I don't like this person's face, reject.
Right.
That sort of thing, which
Right.
it sounds very shallow, right? Sometimes it happens, but I never try to do that. But why even risk it? Is my point. So
Makes
I would
sense.
just put my name, basically, and just really like all my achievements. I don't even want to put a photo in. To me, I think it wastes space.
Right. So make it as focused on your skill set as possible, and not how you look, or like maybe don't even put your hobbies. Is it maybe?
I think hobbies are okay. It shows like a different side of you. Like you have other things besides work.
I see. Cool. Okay. So that's I think that's a lot of, that's something that a lot of people are wondering. how to get into Google. So you were focused on the APAC region, but was there like a certain department you were helping hire, like engineering or marketing or something like that?
Yeah, mostly engineering for the
Ah,
past. For the past, well, for like about 4 years, it was mostly in tech and kind of like business tech as well, and a little bit of cloud as well. Not too much on the business side of things.
okay. Then I can ask a question very selfishly for myself. Okay. um, how okay, everyone knows that you want to go into Google, you definitely have to be very good at algorithms. I think that's the part, because myself, I'm a self-taught developer. So like is the word self-taught something that will turn you off if you saw self-taught developer instead of like, okay, I have a mechanical engineering degree, but I've been a developer, working developer for 2 years now. Does it matter that I'm self-taught, or will it only be proven whether I'm good or not, like in the later stages, whether I can pass the algorithm test 1, test 2, test 3, or I don't know how many tests, but like, will I even get through the door if I'm self-taught?
I would think so, right?
Right.
Generally, we go by merit. So if you are able to pass all the tests and all the interviews, right, then of course we'll bring you on. But I know Google is you're right, they're very focused on the basics. So you need to know your data structures, algorithms, all the big old notations and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's just I say it so many times that
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's my brain.
Yeah. So, but then, let's say you say, okay, cool, this candidate, I'll give them, the first round. I'll send them an invite to come for the first round. So you have a quick conversation with them, probably not very technical, just like basic questions and things like that. And then, okay, this person is okay to go to round 2. Then you'll probably ask that manager that's looking to hire, okay, where do you want me to pass this person to? Who should be next in line to interview this person?
There's a whole system, there's a whole complex system that goes on. Like so many interviews go on at Google that we even have a whole team just focused on scheduling interviews. So you can imagine the scale is really a lot, but there's already a system in place where, you go through a couple of interviews, there are coding rounds. I think they recently added a extra round to test like your Googliness and things like that. Googliness is like your culture fit sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
It's pretty good, I would think. Very wholesome.
Right.
That's kind of it. Honestly, their website is very is very extensive.
Right.
So if you ever need anything, right, I think the Google website or the careers website is quite well done. Much better than the old one.
I don't know. I think the one I've seen now is the same one that I've seen over the past 1 year or two. So I think it's been like this for a while now. I haven't seen the old one before. Maybe the old one was when I was still in uni. Haven't started looking for jobs. Okay. So I think the next question I have is something that I related to you a lot in the video that you posted, the one that went viral, where you said that you worked at Google for like 6 years, almost 7 years, right? And I kind of felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of felt like you were saying that you were afraid of your job scope became more and more narrow at Google, and can I say that you had the feeling of maybe being trapped, or like, will I ever be able to leave this place in the future if I ever wanted to? Did you have that feeling? Because I could relate to that if you had that feeling. That's the feeling I had when I was working at Intel. So I felt like, okay, if I work here, first of all, I felt like I wasn't a very competent engineer at Intel. And engineering-wise, communication-wise, I feel like I was okay. But engineering-wise, I feel like I couldn't keep up with the real electronic engineers. And so then I felt like I was being kept there because of my ability to speak. But then I also didn't really like the fact that I was liked because I can communicate well. I wanted to be liked because I could do my engineering job well. So then I kind of had that feeling that, I feel like I'm falling down a funnel. And I feel like if I stay here for a bit longer, I might not be able to sell myself in other companies, simply because Intel is so big that they have their own internal tools, maybe similar to Google. And being an expert in an Intel tool doesn't necessarily mean that you can find a job in another in like another company. They have their own different tools, like maybe industry tools, but then we don't use that at Intel because it's just so big. So like, did you feel something similar there, or am I like making assumptions?
I don't think I felt very trapped per se. I just felt, and I think it's because I know myself. I like to start projects. I really like to work on like a breadth of scope of things. So I don't think I'm very much like a specialist. Yeah, so that's why most of the roles there, I feel, because the company is scaling, then you become more and more of a specialist, right?
Right.
So my last project that I worked on when I was there was actually a traineeship program. It's a skills ignition traineeship program. It was a collaboration with the Singapore government. It was a pilot program, and it was to upscale 100 Singaporean and PRs in a digital marketing and cloud skills. And, it came about because of COVID, right? And we were trying to help people find jobs and things like that. So that was very interesting for me, like pulled me in a lot of different directions. It was very, very steep learning curve, but I learned about pretty much all aspects of HR, like operations, getting people their laptops on time, payroll, or, engagement with them, like recruitment, so it covered everything. It was so interesting. Whereas like my main job was more in kind of like talent engagement, and more of there was a period of time where I was just doing Google events. So branding Google is a great place to work at, throwing events. So say like for example, one event was like engineering in Google Singapore, right? That was a while back, but what's kind of like the value proposition for someone to want to come to work at Google? And we were building a team and things like that. So I did a lot of events, a lot of virtual and physical events. But after a year and a half, like I was just a bit, I think bored is the word for sure. Even when I was in my previous team, I told you I was reviewing resumes and things like that, right? I mean, that expanded out into a different role as well. But in my career at Google, I think I moved horizontally 3 times to explore different things. So that was really interesting because I really felt like I prioritized my growth and I went where it was interesting for me, for my interest and for my growth. But I think this is where the downside comes in, right? I think every company has their own different performance management system. Sometimes you don't necessarily get what's the word? You don't necessarily get the
appreciation.
Yeah, the appreciation for having that breadth of knowledge. I think I don't know how companies or in general, maybe society, they value specialists a lot more, and you get paid more, right? For example, I mean, look at a doctor, GP. I don't know how well they get paid, but I think a specialist earns more. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
And I see that trend all around different professions. So maybe it was. I mean, it's just me also, right? Like, of course, I remember at one point of time I had a choice to stay in a role, be promoted, or should I go and take this other role, which was so much more interesting to me. And but I took that path, so I can't regret. And I don't regret because I learned so much, and getting skill sets from that allowed me to, I think, move into my current role also. So really no regrets.
Nice. I feel like that's a trait that that you have, and I'm trying to cultivate within myself, which is to not be too comfortable. I feel like you were always seeking that border of that fine line between comfort and discomfort, because you felt like, oh, doing this a lot of times it was repetitive. It got to a point where it was maybe easy, and it was too comfortable, and so you always like pushed yourself to that fine line between comfort and discomfort. And so I feel like that's where I'm trying to be right now. Like, not uncomfortable to the point where I cannot grow, but it's uncomfortable enough where it's challenging, but also it's fun. It's like, do you feel that way? Do you feel like that's where I feel like that's what you're trying to say when
correct.
you even like when you did the APAC talent engagement thing, but after 1.5 years you also felt like yeah, this is a bit boring.
Yeah, definitely. I think I like to. I need to challenge myself in that way to grow, and I am very like, I need to do something I like, and it needs to add up to like my bigger goal, I guess. which I also spent, I think, a couple of years trying to figure out what is my goal, what do I really want to do in life, that sort of thing. And this was kind of nearing. It was a little bit more on I like to give back, I like to give advice, I like to mentor. So this allowed me to do that rather than the recruitment bit, right? I didn't get that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think we can move on to the next thing. I wouldn't go to the TikTok part just yet, but I would like to go to the YouTube part. Like, at what point in your career, right, did you realize that, hey, I feel like I can do content creation, I can start a YouTube channel and do things like that. And it's, I think the reason why you got on my radar, right, to be very honest, is because of that video. And I think that video probably helped your channel grow quite a bit. I feel like that's something that I just started doing it, 认真 doing it doing it over the past 2 months, 3 months. 2022, my goal was to have 2 podcast episodes per month. So by the end of the year, I will have 20 something episodes, 26, 25, like that. But right now, I'm going way more than that. I'm doing 1 episode per week. So every weekend, I'm having a guest. So right now it's week 11 of the year, and you are my 11th guest. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm, jumping into the content creation world. And hopefully, as the podcast grows in popularity, I'll reach out to more and more interesting people. Some people on my radar, Singapore people are like, Annette Lee, for sure, Gurmeet Singh, all these, popular Singaporean people that our generation knows. I want to hopefully have them on the podcast at some point, but slowly. And also, you started creating content on TikTok as well. I follow you on TikTok just now. So I feel like I want to know what was it that triggered you and moved you into thinking, hey, I can try to create content. You got a microphone, you got your camera, and you make a lot of B-roll as well in your videos. You make a lot of B-roll videos or sections of the video where you act out the scene, and you have a lot of cute icons that you put around you. I think I noticed that kind of thing because I'm also looking to create content. So what was it that triggered you to want to create content on YouTube and TikTok?
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about YouTube first.
Okay.
I was really inspired by this guy called Ali Abdaal. Do you know him?
I know him.
Yeah. So really, this guy is the inspiration. I followed him since he was very, very little subscribers. So I've seen his growth and all that. And I mean, his content now, I think, is not as impactful as it was at the beginning for me, but I think it's a bit different because you're a bigger YouTuber, and now your focus is on different things, right? But everything he said in his videos previously, I was just like, wow, just every episode, something resonated, every single time. I was so amazed by his productivity tips. Productivity tips, all the tech stuff. I'm just like, wow, this stuff is so cool. And I'll be very happy watching him, right? And then I don't know what triggered me to want to do it, but I think I think he talked about the 4-hour work week. Which I don't know, it's a book by Tim Ferriss.
4-hour work week.
The 4-hour work week, yeah.
Not 4-day work week.
No, 4-hour work week.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, let me look it up.
4-hour work week, I'm sure it's 4-hour work week, yeah. But basically, that kind of triggered me to be like, I want to build a business that is scalable, I think. And I think Ali had a video on saying why he also started YouTube or why he did YouTube, right?
Okay.
And I always believe in doing something, putting in a little bit more effort into something, and then kind of, especially with video, right? You do something, you do it once, you do it well, you put it on the net, it's there forever.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really good idea, because after that you leave it there, people will keep watching, or so-called it will get monetized, right? For example, I mean, I just got monetized, but it's there forever. So if anyone wants to ask me about how do I write a good resume, I'll just go watch my YouTube channel. I don't have to spend time explaining again and again and again. And
right.
I think the biggest thing for me is even at work now, just document everything, templatize it. And yeah, I'm very big on efficiency and productivity
and removing obstructions, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so actually I started off with a blog first. I started writing articles first, and then I went to do some like Instagram fitness thing again.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after that I expanded out to like a newsletter. But after that I was like, let me try YouTube. And I really fell in love with YouTube because I love editing. Like I really have so much fun editing.
Right.
A lot of inertia on filming and scripting. But I think writing is a very interesting skill to have. So I'm trying to develop that as I write scripts also. And storytelling, I'm trying to develop the way I tell stories and things like that. And it's really hard to develop, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so I think YouTube is just interesting. It's the same thing, right? It's like you need to know so many things. It's like one whole... It's like you're the producer, you're the actor, you're the script writer, and you know you need to know about audio levels, camera, lights, whatever, right?
Right.
So it's interesting, and I think the process of creating something. And when I post the video, and I don't know if you feel this also when you post the podcast, you're just so proud of it. It's like it's done. It's like I created something, you know.
Right.
And I love that feeling. Like. I really, really love that feeling. Yeah.
I love the first few episodes of the podcast. I'm still learning right now. I'm just at episode 11, but at times when I don't feel super proud of it, it's not because of the editing and the final product. It's because I feel like I didn't ask the right questions. I get to the point and make the podcast interesting. So right now I'm making sure. First of all, the biggest problem, like I said, was I talk too much, and I should let my guests speak because my listeners will be hearing me speak in every episode. But this guest will probably, this is the first time they're listening to them, and in the future maybe come on again. Definitely, take this as an invite to come on again next time. But so that's what I'm learning as well. So I will be very proud of, like my previous episode, I was super proud of it because I feel like a lot of people reached out, my friends, and tell me, hey, I really like this episode. My girlfriend as well, my teacher, my lecturer from university said, hey, this podcast is nice, and like this girl is interesting. So I was like, oh, cool. I mean, credit the girl for sure, but I also like feel happy because I asked the right questions that people felt like it was a good podcast. So that's why I'm learning now. Like, okay, I like to talk, I like to communicate, but right now I'm not a great podcaster, so I'm still learning. So I'll be proud. I feel like I'm already very happy with this episode because I feel like you already give a lot of juicy things that people would like to know about. So I feel like, okay, I like this episode already. Yeah. So the editing part, one question that I have for you is, did you have like those cringy moments when you were recording yourself? That's something that I haven't gotten over yet, and I'm still learning to get over. Like when I record myself, like right now, I'm having a conversation with you, and it's very natural because I feel natural having a conversation. But if today I were to record myself, and have a script next to me, and record myself, I haven't gotten over that that feeling of recording myself, hearing myself, editing myself alone. And I don't know, like, if you had that feeling, or like did you have the feeling but you got over it very quickly? Like, do you have the same feeling, or is it just me? I feel probably it's not just me, but yeah, how did you get over it?
I don't know how I got over it. I just like, yeah, there are cringy moments for sure. There are moments where I just slip up and I have to record, like for example, I recorded like one whole thing on compensation. I have to redo it again because my head was not in the right like I was too low. I looked like this in the video thing and I was having a crappy day, so I was like, I'm just gonna re-record it. But yeah, there are cringy moments for sure. Honestly, when I see my TikTok video, I cringe every time I look at the thumbnail because it's me doing this. Like, I'm just like, oh my god, that is just not me. But with YouTube, you gotta make it like it's a little bit of clickbait, but what I aim to do is I need to give my content needs to have value. Every episode must have value, and I think it's true value. It's not fake.
A trick. Yeah, it's not a trick.
Yeah. But it's things like that you have to do to get the clicks,
Right,
it's just the way
right.
it kind of works. But
Yeah.
sure, a lot of cringy moments. And but the great thing is that you can edit it out. So that's the beauty of editing.
Yeah, I just like, even during the recording process, I already feel cringy, and then during the editing process, I have to hear myself all over again, and I'm like, and I haven't gotten over that feeling. And the podcast is actually very easy to edit, because if there's nothing to cut out, it's very easy to just plop in the audio, plop in the video, make sure that everything's lined up, and put in my background, put in my animation. It's, I can get it out in half an hour. So it's
okay.
very fast, because I already, like you, I templatized my podcast, so I have a folder called podcast template. So every time there's a new podcast, I have the thumbnail, I have the Instagram like banner that I post to people. That's something that I will have to ask you about after this podcast. Like, I just want to ask your opinion on the thumbnail that I plan to post of you, just like before. So after the podcast and before I release the video, I just release a quick banner so people know who to expect. So things like that. Podcast editing, I think, is quite fast and very easy, because as long as there's nothing to cut out, and even if there is something to cut out, it's just click, delete. That's all. Not like, I have to zoom in on your face, zoom in on my face. I'm not there yet. Someone I want to emulate is this YouTube channel called Modern Wisdom. Have you heard of this guy?
Yes.
Okay, I like him a lot. I feel like he talks about a lot of things that are on my mind sometimes. And he takes a very neutral stance when he talks about things. She's not like very left, very right, or has very strong opinions, and he lets the guests. So I'm kind of like learning from him. Even his physique. Have you seen him without his shirt off? With his shirt off? Oh, I want to get that body so bad. His body is like really nice. Yeah. So that's something that I look to try. Yeah, content creation. I think like, for me personally, you're probably an extrovert just from interacting with you. No? Really? You have a YouTube channel, TikTok, and you have all this. I would assume you're an extrovert.
That's my game face. And also that is my work face. I'm very good with one-to-ones.
Right.
But when it's in a big crowd, I don't really like it. Whenever like more than 5 people are hanging out, I think I'll be on my phone, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do very well in one-to-ones, but not that. And I mean, with YouTube, it's just the camera and me, so it's okay,
Right. But because I would think that, the having the guts to put yourself out there and, talk about stuff, I would feel that's very brave, but not necessarily extroverted, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, not necessarily extroverted. I would consider myself I'm not sure if this is even a word. I've heard my friend mention it, an ambivert. Yeah, it's like I can be extroverted when I want to, but when I'm working, or like when I'm just tired, I just like rather stay home. Like on the weekends, I just stay home. But when I need to, I can be very extroverted.
Yeah, same. But I find after I'm extroverted, I still after I expend that energy, I need time to myself to, not heal. What's the word? Just replenish my energy.
Recharge. Okay.
Yeah, I need my alone time, whether it's with a book or just, watching some TV or spending time with the dogs. I just need the alone time. There's this book by Susan Cain called Quiet. It's about introverts.
Okay.
Quite interesting. Yeah. And after I always, and it's very interesting because my Myers-Briggs, right? It was always, the ESFJ, that's the Myers-Briggs stuff.
Right.
I was always an extrovert all the way until a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end.
It changed from E to I over time?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Mine changed over time, but I was still in E.
Yeah, so just interesting. I think maybe different points of time in your life, right? And I think last time I always was very, very extroverted, but I think it was my own cry for help to feel loved,
wow.
all that sort of thing. But now I think I know myself more. I love myself. I'm very happy with the way I am. So I've discovered that I'm an introvert.
That's nice. That's very nice. I've never had a doubt that I'm an extrovert, and I'm sure my friends listening will not doubt that I'm an extrovert as well. I'm like if you search up the word extrovert in a dictionary, maybe my face will be next to it. That's how extroverted I am. But also I realized at some point, I've always been like this since I was a kid. But I also realized at some point that some people find it annoying. So over my 4 or 5 years in uni and working, I realized that I need to tone it down a bit, and not everyone likes this, hey, how you doing? This kind of attitude, which is actually the way I am. But to integrate well with people, I sort of learned to tone it down a bit and kind of gauge what this person likes. And I because I'm the one with excess energy, I can tone it down. But then to just throw all this energy at people and and then some people this, and unknowingly they would try to avoid me and kind of feel annoyed when I come by. So I know to tone it down a bit over time. So what I want to ask next, right, is since you are working a lot of people and a lot of recruitment, I'm sure you've also heard of this term. And also, I want to congratulate you on becoming a statistic. I'm a statistic as well. We are part of the Great Resignation, right? We are part of the Great Resignation happening after COVID or during COVID. I feel like resignation rates were lower in 2020 because people felt insecure about doing their job and not being able to find another job. But I think after people realized that COVID isn't a big a deal as they thought it was, then people was like, I'm out of here. So why do you think that is? And after you give your comments, I have an opinion as to why people are so willing to resign nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think COVID literally forced everyone to slow down and think. And I think we live in a world where it's very like go, 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 I don't think a lot of people actually have time to really sit down and breathe, because work is, you're busy, right? At work, you go, and then when you come back, you're tired. You just want to chill and not think about anything, right? But with COVID, that just slowed down. Everything slowed down, essentially. You couldn't go out with friends, therefore you spend the time either watching TV, and even after, if you watch TV and all that, right, you'll be bored to a certain extent. And you slowly start thinking like, yeah, what really makes me happy in life? Why am I slogging my life away, so-called like a 9 to 5 or and also, right, like there is no boundary. If you're home working, like you can work all day. If you don't put that boundary on yourself, you could be working like really, literally all day, all night,
Yeah, because you're always online and your manager expects a reply.
Correct. And then that leads to just burnout, I think.
Yep.
And then people then start questioning, what am I doing with my life? Is this how it's going to be forever? People don't see the light at the end of COVID. I don't know. Okay. But people start questioning and reflecting, and then they realize, this is not what I want. Life is short. Why should I be so unhappy doing stuff I just don't like? And then I think it kind of like goes on from there. And then like remote work, like so many changes are happening now because of like this whole COVID thing, right? So many people left companies to go into like the gig economy. Essentially, it's like kind of like content creation or freelance work, right?
Yep.
So it's a very different shift. I think it's kind of like, I will compare it to like the Industrial Revolution, that sort of thing. It is just an interesting shift in how
COVID
people
revolution.
look at work.
Right, COVID revolution. For me, right, I feel like, definitely for me, it was 2020 was a rough year for me. I say it in almost every podcast. 2020 was a rough year for me. I lost my job. I quit my job. I was in Singapore, quit my job as an e-pass holder. That's not really, I quit my job without a second offer. So I was kind of like stranded here for a month with no job. And then my time was up and I had to go back to Malaysia. So I was jobless for like 3-4 months in 2020. And I actually had that kind of feeling that you're mentioning, like kind of like existential crisis. Like, what am I doing with my life? Is this really what I want to do? And also the job I was at the time was really stressful, and that definitely didn't help. But also what I realized was people were just unhappy, and maybe it was like a bottling up kind of effect, maybe over time, if there was no COVID, the resignation rate would be like pretty flat. But then during COVID, that time people felt very afraid to quit their jobs because of uncertainty, like, you hear all these people losing their jobs around the world because of COVID and all that, and then the resignation rate probably dropped. And then suddenly when people realized it wasn't such a big deal, and then it rebounded, and then that's why people are like, fuck this, I'm out of here. You can curse if you want. I curse a lot in my podcast as well. So then it rebounded, and then so that's why it seems like it's a great resignation, but it's just, these people would have resigned anyway, but they were just holding on for a bit longer because like, what's gonna come after COVID? And then people realize it's either gonna end or it's not gonna end. Either way, I cannot be here unhappy. So it's like just a rebound effect. And then something else I also was thinking is, how like our parents' generation, right? It's very common for a person to work in a company for like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, very long. And then a career change wasn't really an option for a lot of people. Like they just kind of work, and they just dealt with it. Like whatever problem they had, also they just dealt with it. But for us, right, it's actually like for you to stay at a company for 6 years, almost 7 years, right? 6 years and 10 months or something. It's actually like very rare, I think, for people our age nowadays, right? Hello?
She was like pawing me. She was like,
Little
please,
baby. May I know her name?
Chewie, after
Chewie.
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. I see the color resemblance. Okay.
Yes, but she's due for a groom.
Very cute. Very cute. My mom has a toy poodle as well called Cookie.
Oh,
Cookie is a very chubby girl. My mom is definitely listening. Cookie is very fat, mommy. Cookie needs to lose weight. Okay, yeah. So I feel like, and then the reason, then I thought about it. Like, why is it that the past generations, like, why did they, even if they were unhappy, why did they just stick there and just keep on grinding for so long? And why is it like in our generation, it's quite common to hear people work in a company for 1 year, 2 years, and maximum maybe 3 years, and then they jump ship. And then I have a theory lah. I feel like it's because we have commitments a lot later in life, our generation. Like, so having a house, getting married, having kids, right? It happens a lot later in our lives. So 30, 32, 33, some people have kids like when they're 35, and nothing wrong with that. It just happens later in life. And so in your 20s and early 20s, late 20s, right? You don't have a lot of commitments, so there is nothing much to lose. Right, if you didn't get a partner, you don't get a BTO or anything, then, or you didn't buy a house, then you have basically nothing to lose. And so why should I be here? So it's like our generation, first of all, we prioritize our happiness more, and also we have enough savings. I can last a 6 months, 7 months without a job. I'll be fine. I'll lose a lot of money in my savings, but I'll be fine. So I feel like the commitment thing, the fact that it's just so expensive for us to buy a house, raise a family, have a kid nowadays, right? That the fact that we don't have a lot of commitments is why people are so okay with, I'll fuck this, I'm out of here. Is that what do you think about that? I mean, being in HR, you probably have more perspective as to in terms of hiring people and layoffs.
Well, I don't really. I feel like everyone. It really depends on each person what they think, right? But I do agree with you in terms of like, yeah, people are leaving jobs, like, hopping every 2 to 3 years. In fact, I think that's the smart thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, my HR friends are going to be like, Jamie,
please.
But it's true. Honestly, internally, right? I don't think raises are as much as if you put to jump ship, right? It can be like 20-30% raise, and also like after 2 years, that sort of thing, you've probably learned a lot already. It's time to move on to something else. So I think, I don't know, the world is very interesting, and people will pay a lot more for good talent, right? So yeah, I agree with you in terms of obligations and things like that. Also, I recently bought a place. And I can't help but feel, I love the place. I think it's beautiful. I'm very happy with it. I also feel very broke and very trapped now. So it's a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love it. I'm so broke. I can't, I literally cannot leave my job now. That sort of thing.
Yep.
And it's not bad. I really like my current job. But it's just that thought of being trapped, right? I feel more trapped than ever in that certain sense. So that kind of sucks. But sorry, I know we kind of veered off that topic of jumping ship. But yeah, now I have to if I really want to jump, right? I have to rethink a little bit more. Do I really want to jump? Is it stable there? Will I get laid off there? That sort of thing. More things to take into consideration before I jump.
Right. Personally, I have not purchased any properties yet, be it in Malaysia or Singapore. So I have not had that feeling, but I foresee, and I feel like that was one of the reasons why, like people in the past, they felt like, okay, I have to work this job. I have kids to raise. I have a house to pay for, a car to pay for, things like that. And for me, it's like, okay, the reason why I felt so okay, but I was very unhappy at the time, so okay, quitting my job in 2020 without a backup plan, right, was because I feel like I'm okay. I'll survive. And it was kind of like kind of like a middle finger to my management at that time. I was like really angry because we can go into that a bit lah. So basically, it was like a lot of finger pointing happened, and so that morning it was like, because I was a contractor as well in that company. I won't say name lah, but you can check my LinkedIn if you want. So I was a contractor, and so there was a lot of blame game happening. I was taking the initiative to do a lot of things, and then when I feel like a lot of things fell on my shoulders, and suddenly it was on me. And what triggered me was my manager said something along the lines of, if you don't improve in the next 2 weeks, we will contact your agency and get someone to replace you. And so, being a contractor or permanent, you hear this kind of thing, it's like, man, don't do that, man. Why you want to play with my ego like that? And so it's like, why would you say that to me? And I'm trying my best here, and ultimately I don't think the problem was my fault. It's not my fault. I know it wasn't my fault, but it was like it just happened to be me in that position. So I contacted my mom, contacted my dad, contacted my brother, and I also contacted the girl from the agency that hired me, and just asked like, do I have to pay anything if I quit today? Then she said, first of all, she asked like, okay, why do you want to quit? All these things. She's worried, but then I already got the green light from my dad, my mom, my brother, everyone, my girlfriend as well. So then I was like, okay. So by 3 p.m, the thing happened at like 8 in the morning. So by 3 p.m, I just gave him my resignation letter. Like, bye bye, I'm out of here. So, but the thing is, it kind of felt good because on the week that I was supposed to leave, 3 other people left the team. So it kind of justified my feeling that it's probably not me. It's probably not me. So the kind of toxic thing happened in 2020. But I'm ultimately grateful for 2020. The struggle, I think, is what got my mind spinning. And also, you mentioned Myers-Briggs. I did my Myers-Briggs in 2020 as well, and the result was ENFP. And I looked up ENFP. I was very unhappy with the pros were okay, like basically how I am. The cons were not. I was not happy with the cons because it was too accurate and it was scary. Basically, they said that you have a lot of ideas, but you never finish what you start, which was too accurate for comfort. So I had to change it. And then 2021 came. I became a developer. 2021 was a good year. And then, starting this podcast and stuff, I just want to keep up the momentum, keep myself busy, inviting interesting people like you. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Sorry you had to go through that. I think toxic culture is not great. It doesn't sound like the manager was very good. And I mean, since so many more people left, it probably reflects also that maybe you didn't feel like psychologically safe in that team.
Yes, definitely.
So, and it sucks, right? If you feel like that way at work, sometimes it spills over to your personal life.
Definitely. COVID and stuff happened, and I'm being a very extroverted person. I realized, and I had to come to terms with the fact that I actually relied a lot on human interaction for my own sanity, and being not able, circuit breaker, all that. I couldn't meet my friends, couldn't talk to people, had to tap out every day. So basically I was alone. My girlfriend wasn't in Singapore as well. So it was a really stressful time for me. And I was at the gate of depression. I never say I got depression because I feel like that it discredits the people that have depression. But I was at the gate. So I would call my girlfriend and cry, call my mom. I think I did call my mom and cry, I'm not sure. But I was just really sad. And that definitely contributed to the fact that the job wasn't a happy place to be at. They had this very weird culture of trial by fire. So it's like, so you join as a new team member, and instead of like teaching you and guiding you along the way so that you can ramp up as fast as possible, they would like throw you in the sea and see if you drown, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's that kind of culture. Like I struggled to get to where I'm at, so you must struggle as well. It's that kind of feeling in the team. So I struggled to be this senior in the team. You need to struggle as well, and I'm not going to teach you anything. And then every time you ask questions, it will be replied with kind of like the emoji equal when you use the 2 equal signs to look at people. It's like I would get a lot of response like that in my Microsoft Teams, right? I will get a lot of answers like that from my seniors. Like when I ask question like, hey, should I do this or should I do that? Then instead of telling me the answer, they would put equal, and they will not answer anymore.
Oh wow.
So I had this kind of experiences. So definitely not the best place to work, especially coming from Intel. Intel is, I think the culture at Intel is a lot like Google. It's very American, very speak your mind, very ask a lot of questions. Even if you ask the wrong questions, it's okay. Is that the way it is in Google as well? Very open?
Yeah. And I think Google shaped me a lot, growing to like this mature adult, right? But definitely shaped me as a person, the way I work, the way I think. But very open culture, very transparent.
Yes.
And
that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, because I did actually you should try it out. I did a values, I went to, there's this thing called, okay, let me see. I'm on my computer so I can also see. I did a personal, what's it called? Let me find it. I think
No problem. Take your time.
you might find it interesting also, but let's see. Oh, wow. Not bad. I have quite a lot of articles.
On your website, right? Jamie, what was it? Just now I went to it for a while.
Hang on. Jamie's personal user manual.
Oh, wow.
So it is it's like when you go to work, sometimes you have a working styles document. This is a little bit more of, like, for example, if I'm meeting you for the first time, right? Like I can send it to you and people will have a brief understanding of who you are, what you value, how to work with you, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
And because I did this, it forced me to reflect on like really what my mission is, some of the values I live by, some questions that are focused on me. You should do it. I think you will find it very interesting.
So let me understand correctly. It's like I need to list out my working style for people to work best with me.
Yes
for
and
people
no.
to understand
Yes and no.
how to people, so let people know how I like to work and how to let me know things in the most effective way.
Something like that. I pinged you the link, so check it out later. But yeah, for example, I had to I wrote values I live by, right? For example, one of my values is transparency. And for me, transparency implies openness, communication, and accountability. Transparency is all about managing expectations by sharing and communicating what's going on, be it good or bad, what the intended plan is. It gives greater clarity to everyone involved to help one another and be able to get stuff done on time. So that is a value to me. Like I live, breathe, and this kind of stuff. So you can check mine out, and there's also like a template somewhere, so you can go and do it. Also, it's a lot of like reflection, but this gave me a lot of clarity to start loving myself a lot more, to understand myself more, and kind of like develop from there. So they also like what drives you nuts, what are your quirks, that sort of thing.
Okay. Maybe we can ask that next. What drives you nuts in a person you're working with? What drives you nuts?
I feel like I should just read my thing.
Okay, I have it here actually. Okay. What drives you nuts? I'm going to read out. People who don't deliver on time as promised. Yes. I just the first sentence already. If you're not able to meet a deadline, please at least have courtesy to give whoever you are working with a heads up so they are able to better prioritize their time, in bold. Okay. Being expected to deliver a task with no context or explanation whatsoever just because. Yes. Okay. Being expected, people who have absolutely no sort of basic consideration for the person, whether it be a stranger, etc. Yes. Awkward silences in presentations. Okay, awkward silences and presentations. I hate them. I say a lot of ums when I'm nervous, and I'm working on getting over this with loads of practice when speaking to the camera. Let's practice your tolerance for awkward silences right now.
I think I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
It's because I'm comfortable with you.
Hey, nice. We're already friends. Yeah. Hey, remember, guys, we never spoken before this podcast, but I think we vibe well. I think it would be nice if we met up in person, have a nice lunch or dinner.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
coffee.
Yeah. Where you stay? Wait, no, don't say. No, I took it too casually. It's like we're talking to each other. It's like a real conversation. Okay. I feel like I never feared awkward silences until I started the podcast. So having a podcast, I kind of fear that there is no flow. Or definitely in my previous podcast, there has been a disruptive flow. Like I feel like went from here to there, and that is completely on me. I feel like that's not my guest problem. It's because I didn't do enough prep work. I took it too casually. I started the podcast thinking like, I just want it to be a conversation. But a lot of times, right, conversations with no structure kind of go all over the place, and the whole podcast becomes very shapeless. So like for the past few podcasts, I try my best to prepare something. So like for you now, I have a list of questions. So I kind of, we can go from one topic to another, but at least there's an obvious starting point and obvious ending point, and at least flow nicely from one topic to another.
Yeah, and I have to say, because I actually listened to your podcast, I think from the first episode all the way to the episode with the YouTuber who does watches.
Did you really?
Yes. Yeah, and I thought there was I could see the improvement there, So it's the same thing with like YouTube and stuff. My first video was so bad. Like I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, woman, just can you just talk faster? And like, yeah, so it's very cringy, right? But I was really proud of it when I posted it. But now I'm like, yeah, no. And it's good. We learn from all these sort of things, right? These experiences, and we're just gonna get better at it. So,
so like being the subject of this podcast, do you feel that I've improved over now podcast 11? That one was, I think, podcast 4. The Watch Girl was what podcast 4. Do you feel like maybe a bit better? Now we're using Riverside, okay? We're not using Google Meet anymore. Step up my game. If this podcast goes well, right? If this recording and everything, the experience is nice, I'll probably subscribe to Riverside. It is a bit expensive, but I'll probably subscribe. Yeah,
definitely. I really think you have improved.
Thanks.
And I think it's always about impressed. Like what is after you publish every video, every podcast, or anything you create. Like the next time, just do something 1% better. Right. It doesn't have to be, oh my God, every single time I must do exponentially better. But if you keep improving, then that's going to help, right? So, yeah.
Recently, like I think the past year or two, especially after COVID, this kind of hustle culture became very popular. I feel like it's on YouTube, on Instagram, on this like motivational hustle kind of culture, right? I like it. I feel like it's good, but it can be too much. Like there are times when you just need to chill out and like love yourself, do something else, play games. Don't play Elden Ring, you get stressed out playing Elden Ring. But just play games and just chill out, go for a walk. That you don't have to be hustling all the time. But what I'm trying to do in 2021 is just reduce the amount of time I spend being mindless, like mindlessly scrolling, mindlessly watching YouTube, and consciously, watch videos that actually motivate me. Listen to podcasts that actually have some content, like good content in it, and get used to enjoying things that are good for you instead of like mindlessly scrolling things. Yeah, I'm consciously trying to stop myself from spending too much time doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I have comments on that, but I'm also conscious that we have maybe 2 minutes left on Riverside. So I don't know if you want to cut here and then we can migrate first and then...
Okay, cut here, guys. Okay, give us... you for the viewer, it'll be seamless. 3, 2... Okay, welcome back, guys. For you, it was seamless. We had a quick change of platform, and now we're back. So I actually forgot where we were before the snap.
Okay, wait. I think we're not really about Great Resignation, about something about the internet and hustle. I think you were talking about hustle and how it's become like not not toxic hustle, but
like too much. Like yeah. You were saying that I'm very conscious about that, and also I'm very conscious we have 2 minutes left. That's what you were saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what I wanted to say. I think, and this also relates back to the whole change of mindset with like the how our parents used to work like in companies for so long. I think the internet changed a lot of things. The possibilities on the internet is like amazing. I probably would never ever have met you ever if it wasn't for the internet or content.
Right.
And yeah, I personally think I'm very invested in like the YouTube thing, right? Because it is kind of like my sweet spot, my ikigai. You know what ikigai is?
Ikigai, yes. I read the book, the blue color cup.
Yeah. So it's kind of like your sweet spot between your passion and like what makes you money and like what fulfills you, that sort of thing.
Right.
So for me, like from all my personality tests and all those sort of things, I found out that I like to give back. Yeah. So my Enneagram, all that, giving back to me is a very, very big thing. It fulfills me a lot. So I like to give back by sharing on these advice with folks, right? Millennials and early career folks. And that makes me feel very happy. Even in my current job now, I'm doing the same thing. It's about mentoring, coaching, and I'm developing that skill at work, right? And why YouTube? Because I think we talked about it just now. The scalability with YouTube and the ability to use YouTube and content as a platform to grow your business. I look at YouTube as a business, to be honest.
Right. That's something that caught my attention as well. You use the word business. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's following this model basically. Like, you build up your following, and there's also this article by Kevin Kelly, right? If you have 1,000 true followers, you are set for life. Because
if they spend 100 on you,
I'm kind of 1,000 times 100 is decent, that sort of thing.
Right.
So I'm trying to follow that kind of model, I would say, and that's one thing. You build up your audience first. People respect your opinion. People listen to you, and then you your thought. You're like authority in like certain areas. So for me, I would love to be authority in like career stuff. And honestly, career stuff is not top of mind for me. I would love to do all the productivity stuff and the life lesson stuff. But I have to start somewhere with the value I the expertise I have is within the career space, right? So I start with that and I build my audience up first. And then when people listen to you, then you slowly pivot out to something else. So I'm not there yet. So yeah, just using YouTube as a business. And then the efficiency of it, same thing. I do a video once, I don't ever have to do it again, right? All my resources are free, so people can go in and use it. But if I ever want to launch a course on or resume writing or career tips or interviewing or ace the interview, if people trust me, people will come and buy that course. They will pay money for it. But that's the very, very long game, right? There's this book called The Content Plan, which sums Content Inc. or something like that. It sums it up very, very nicely. But this was really why I also started YouTube. And lastly, it's my creative outlet. So it encompasses it very, very nicely. So my dream would be to be a full-time content creator, because I love having like conversations like this. I love talking about YouTube and businesses and driving my own business, because I'm willing to put in so much into my own business versus like a company where you are replaceable anytime. So I think burnt out so many times at Google, because when I got into Google, I was in love with the company. I gave my life to the company, I think. And I'm forever grateful, right? But I think from that, I've learned to know that I think everyone is replaceable. So I don't ever want to give my life to another company. And
to that extent.
I'd rather work on my own thing. That sort of thing. But of course, it's a balance, right? Like I still make sure I give my best at work. But I'm never...
all your tasks.
Correct. It has to be quality work. And I still, of course, want to make sure my reputation at work is good and all that, right? And I'm still learning things at work that I could apply into my this content thing. So it's a very nice harmony between everything that I've currently sort of built up. It's just about juggling it now, like juggling work, prioritizing what I need to prioritize, and then prioritizing like the content creation part of things.
Right. Is this did you always have this feeling, or was it like post-COVID clarity as well for you? For me, it was post-COVID clarity.
No, this was before that. This was like 2018, 2019. But
that's nice.
I never committed enough to want to do it. To be honest, while I was doing all the resume videos and all that early on, I got stopped. I got flagged by Google because the conflict of interest team was like, it may look wrong if you as a Google recruiter are giving out this kind of advice. And to me, I was like, but I thought it's good branding for you, because I'm not teaching people how to get into Google. I'm teaching people how to write good resumes, like that sort of thing. It's just stuff I wish I knew as a fresh grad. So then I stopped, right? And then I felt very trapped, but more on like the creative sense. So I think definitely that was one of my push factors to also want to leave Google. But of course, it's not like it's not the biggest one also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Was it like when you start creating content on YouTube like that? Do you have to declare, or did they discover it? Or you have to declare it?
I think you have to declare, but I think someone might have reported me.
Okay. Understand. Yeah, maybe they. Okay, I don't see how your content could have been harmful to anyone or beneficial to. I don't see any conflict lah. That's what I'm trying to say. But that's okay. You're here now. You can do anything you like.
Yeah. I'm in a good space now, I would say. For sure.
Nice. I was gonna ask something, but I forgot what it was. Yeah. So for myself, I think I know what I was gonna say. It wasn't gonna ask anything. I was basically gonna talk again about myself. Yeah. So for me, it's like post-COVID clarity and realizing that I don't want to work for people for the rest of my life, and I'm also looking to hopefully start making money from content creation. I'm still way early in the game. I have basically no traction at all at the moment, but hopefully I'm actually trying to do. So I've been doing vertical videos for my Instagram over the past since I don't know which episode, like since 4 episodes ago, I started doing vertical video in my stories. I was posting them as posts 3 in a row, but I realized that those didn't get a lot of likes and those didn't get a lot of views. But then when you post like vertical videos, right, you can see whether people actually watch to the end, right? So if like in the beginning there's 100 and at the end there's 100, it means that people actually found it interesting and you can see them progress through. If they didn't like, they can just swipe away. So that's like, I feel like that's, and then at the end of it, I would put so whoever stayed to the end, they were obviously interested. And I would put a screenshot of the thumbnail and also the link, because now Instagram, you can put links, right? Yeah. So then there is where I realized that there was a spike in my views, a small spike, not like, hundreds of views, but I'm still in the under hundreds, but there was a spike. So I feel like, okay, that's obviously means that if I put it at the end, only the most interested people will go to the end and click on it. And it's not like they have to go to the end. If you're not interested, that's fine. But it's just like it's a way of making sure that only the people that really like it will watch it, and the higher chance it is of them actually clicking on the link and watching it. Also, since I started TikTok, I will probably start posting the clips. Since I already had the vertical clips, I'll probably start posting the vertical clips. But I don't think I'll start off with just one video. I'll collect a few from different episodes of the podcast. And put them all together like 6 in a row or 10 in a row like that, so that people actually, when they do come my profile, they have things to see, not like just one video. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Ali Abdal, I think, did Ali Abdal say this?
Batching.
Batching, right? Yeah,
batching content.
Yeah. Also, no, I think it was like Mr. Beast. I think he was on the podcast on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he said that if you start a YouTube channel, you shouldn't start off with just one video. You should prepare 5 videos beforehand, and then as soon as you put out the channel and you want to go the channel to go public, then people have content already on the channel. So that's probably what I will do for my TikTok, because I feel like if you start posting things, the TikTok algorithm is smart enough to they'll try to serve your things to people and see whether people actually watch it. And then if people watch it, then people see more of your things. So I will take the most interesting clips I have from the 11 episodes I have and start posting them. Maybe I'll post 11 clips from 11 episodes. And then have the link to my YouTube on my profile as well. I feel like as much as I'm a TikTok elitist, I'll try to, but I cannot help but admit that it does have a lot of interesting content on it sometimes. As long as I don't, it's very good at understanding what I like. So yeah, it's very scarily good at understanding what I like. Really scary.
The algorithm is fantastic, and which is why I say, like, with TikTok, right, their product and all this amazing. Really? Like, the algorithm, like, I mean, honestly, my feed is full of dogs, but and like it's very, very, it's nice. I see, I'm like, oh, and then they have a lot of folks on, like, to do similar content to me in terms of like career stuff that keeps popping up. But it's a very smart algorithm. But like, I think short form videos also has different ways of, like, the ability to swipe away is too easy. So you need to be able to, I mean, as with any video, right, you need to have the hook at the beginning. And I think one way to do this is to write words, for example, I think my latest TikTok video, it didn't do as well, to be honest. But
Okay.
I wrote something like I don't, let me see, where is it? I don't believe in luck. I believe in preparation. And like I kind of like spelled that out because people have to spend the extra time reading and then all that. And that's where all the B-roll for me comes in, because you got to keep people's attention, right? But I find it incredibly difficult to do it on TikTok because it's only like 30 seconds. People get bored. Therefore, yeah, I really like YouTube a little bit more. And I think because I'm I'm a big fan of like deep work. Have you read Cal Newport's book on deep work? It's
No.
like just really focusing on work and how the world now is like multitasking all the time. We don't have time to really focus our mind on like doing something. And TikTok is a very big dopamine hit again and again and again. And I don't like that it plays off that, I think.
Yeah.
So
Very
and
short
also,
attention span.
yeah. And it's not good for our brains. I feel it our the focusing bit, right? It's also a kind of like a muscle we need to train in our brain.
Yes, definitely.
TikTok doesn't help that.
Yes. I was having this issue a lot. So I was having a problem with focusing a lot. And I was wondering, like, is this just me or is it something that I can train? So what I found out that, okay, what's the best way to actually train my focus is to read. To actually read, right? To read books. And so I got a bunch of books. I read Jordan Peterson. So the 2 books that he has. So that was the first book I ever finished, the first 12 rules. I found it very nice and very kind of like, I had to like really reflect. Around that time, I realized that I was ENFP and realized that I didn't like being an ENFP, and I got the book at the time. And so, it all kind of timed perfectly. So I got the book and also started to do web development, learn to be a web developer, self-taught and all these things. And so, it in a weird way, it was kind of like prophetic, like kind of like, okay, the time for you to struggle is now. 2020 June, July is like a bad time for you, but also you're gonna figure out who Jordan Peterson is around this time. You're gonna buy his book, you're gonna read his book, you're gonna learn software development, you're gonna get a job in 2021, and everything just touch wood, I don't jinx it, but it's been going up since January 2021. And I want to keep up that momentum. And it's not I don't want it to be because of luck, because if it's lucky, right, you can lose it at any chance. You got it by chance, you can lose it by chance. But I want it to be because of my grind. So I started reading, started to train my attention span. Wow, when I started reading, I would struggle just to read 2 pages, struggle because my mind would go astray. Like you know how you can read the words but you're not processing them. That happened all the time. But now I can properly read. I'm not a great reader. I cannot read a book in a night or anything. But one night, 40 pages. Okay, fine. That's very comfortable for me. So it's like you said, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that can be trained. The attention span. And TikTok doesn't help.
I love reading. Like I would, when I was in primary 3, I would stay in the toilet for like 2 hours just reading. Really, I would tell my mom because stomach ache, but I'm reading.
Wow.
Love reading. But even now, it takes some time. I agree with you. It takes some time to sit and like focus on the first few pages. Once you get past that 5 minutes, you're in it. You're immersed.
Right.
And yeah, so I think it's a very cool way to train your focus. Yeah.
And also because I do programming, I basically see text all the time in the form of code, right? And after I read, I feel like maybe it's just I just improved as a developer, but I also feel like I read code a lot faster. I can get to the point a lot faster. Right now, I feel like I can. Just realized this 2 days ago. I feel like I can like kind of skim through a sentence and get the gist of it, and very quickly. I don't know, is it because I'm reading fast or I get the point of what the author is trying to say, very quickly. Right now, I'm reading. Right here, The Rules of Life.
Oh wow! I've read that before. They have like this whole series on the rules of like.
I got a couple of
right.
The first chapter I don't really agree with because he said, "Don't tell people that you're reading the book." Very weird. He said,
why?
Don't tell people that you're reading a book. Let me just like keep it under your hat. That's the first rule. Like, don't need to tell people. Don't preach. Don't propagate. Just keep it to yourself and improve silently. And I'm like, nah. If I don't like the book, I'll tell people it's not nice. If I like the book, I'll tell people it's nice. But yeah, the rules of life, the rules of work, the rules of what else? something. I bought all three at once. But cannot lie lah. I'm really the judge a book by its cover kind of person. The cover looks nice, so that's why I bought it also.
I'm gonna ping you a book. It's free online. I bought the book.
Naval Ravikant.
Oh my god! How did you know?
I knew it.
It's so good. It's like I reread it once in a while again. Just.
Did you watch the podcast on Joe Rogan?
No.
It's good. Do you listen to podcasts? Do you like Joe Rogan? Okay, a lot of people don't like Joe Rogan.
I never specifically like. I know of him, but I don't like go into to like really like specifically listen to him. But he interviewed Naval, is it?
He interviewed Naval, so I can ping you. Okay, you ping me the book. I actually bought the book a couple of weeks ago. 1 month ago I bought the book. But then when the book has a white cover, I bought the book, and then the person that shipped it to me, the book was very dirty. Like there were hand marks and very dirty. So I shipped it back, and then luckily I shipped it back because I didn't know that it was a free PDF online. It was a free ebook. Yeah. And then after that, but I still plan to buy a book because I like the feeling of turning the pages and smelling the book. I like the feeling. But I will send you the YouTube link to the Naval Ravikant podcast. Joe Rogan is, I'm sure you've heard Joe Rogan is a very controversial guy. He says a lot of ridiculous things sometimes, but also he's the kind of person that values hard work. Like he believes in like hard work. Okay. Cool. Let me close this sidebar. Okay, yeah. So this is the podcast. If you're free tonight, I think you can listen to it. It's 2 hours, 11 minutes. But I cannot, like episodes like this, right? The Naval Ravikant episode, I cannot do something and listen to it in the background. It's just so interesting that I have to like focus completely when I listen to the podcast. Yeah, it's really nice.
I this guy, everything he says in this or everything that's compiled in this book, I'm just like, this is. You need to follow this, and like there's one thing he said in this, right, that if you don't know how to code, document your life, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do, right? So I'm just like I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to do it also, but it's good because I kind of enjoy it, and also like happiness is such an interesting concept also. I think he wraps it out like really, really well.
So there's this guy called Sadhguru. Have you heard of this guy? Sadhguru. So he's on the latest episode of Joe Rogan. I think maybe 2 episodes ago. Do you have Spotify?
Yes.
Yeah. So Joe Rogan is now exclusively on Spotify. You cannot find the full videos on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, so just go 1 episode before the latest one. It's Sadhguru. He's a kind of motivational speaker, but he's also like not philosophical, but he also says he speaks a lot about happiness in this episode of Joe Rogan. So he said that all your emotions come from within you, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, and you definitely don't quote me lah. But all the emotions come from within you, and let's say you say something nasty to me, and naturally the human nature is to place my unhappiness on you. You are the reason for my unhappiness. But he says until you realize that your unhappiness comes from you because you are reacting to it. Then you will realize that there is when I react to your harshness, right? In some ways I have become a slave to you. I've become a slave to you, and you are in control of my emotions. But then, I can preach it, but I cannot practice. I'm still, it's very hard to do. but I've been very since that episode I've been trying to catch myself because I get very easily irritated. And so I've been this way for the longest time since I was a kid. So over the past year or something, I've been trying to catch myself from being very irritated a lot of times. But also I don't want to lose this ability to be aggressive. I don't want to be harmless. I just want to be nice, but also don't let people step over me. That makes sense. Yeah. Jordan Peterson speaks about this sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Definitely I will. I'll definitely listen to it and check it out. And then I also saw the Mr. Beast episode. Ooh.
Yeah, Mr. Beast, if you want to learn about YouTube content, I also watched that episode. Like there are a few episodes in the 1,700 plus Joe Rogan episodes, right? I think maybe 800 plus by now, that are quite good. He has a lot of interesting guests. He has a lot of crazy guests as well. I think, so what I always tell my guests, right? I want to be the Asian Joe Rogan. That's a tall order, but I think I can. I can do it. So some other things I want to do in 2022 is stand-up comedy. I want to try it out.
Nice.
I want to try stand-up comedy. I want to back then. Okay, you know Gurmit Singh Pachukang?
Yeah.
I actually messaged him on Instagram 2 days ago, and I asked him like, "Hey, I want to try stand-up, about all the places that can have open mic are closed for COVID. Can you recommend?" I was just messaging, like I wasn't expecting a reply, but he replied.
Oh, nice.
And he said, "Oh, all the places are closed now. Hang in there." But he also gave me a friend of his, a guy that sometimes he's on Mothership, I think, a comedian, like local Singaporean comedian. He said like you can hit him up and ask him like when you guys have shows, and maybe he can hook you up. And I'm like, cool. I want to try someday. I want to try because I feel like I want to try. Outside of the podcast, I feel like I'm a funny guy. I can be funny.
You try it. Yeah, I think I will go and support you if you are, do it. I mean, it takes a lot to put yourself out there, right? And I think
very scary.
People who don't create don't know this. That I think I had a video on TikTok that I was so irritated with like haters in general, and I just said like, because I think they were hating on like my gay like TikTok creators and things like that, and just so many keyboard warriors and like
why do you feel that people like that why do they feel the need to say all these hurtful things? What do they gain out of it, right? So they were judging on the way you look, the way you talk, everything, being very bitchy lah, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of that, and also like just putting you down, and I was really, really pissed off with that, the borderline level of like discrimination, that sort of thing, right? And to me, it's like, if you can't do a job better than this person, then what right do you have to criticize this person, and why can't you just be nice about it? Everyone has different perspectives, but you can put your point across respectfully, even though you disagree,
Right.
So
right.
I'm just like, if you are so brave, use your real name, that sort of thing, because I don't think people will act like that if you use your real name, right?
Yeah.
So that just, I was really, really like, really, really just pissed me off. And I think also more because like they were content creators, right? I don't think, and that's why I also feel like we understand each other a fair bit, because we are creators and we put ourselves out there,
Right.
If you're so good at it, go try it. And it's tough. It's not that easy. So I'm just like, sometimes.
It totally makes sense, right? But a lot of people, not a lot of people, some people preach like, okay, people can say anything they want to you, but at the end of the day, you are the one that is responding, and you can choose to ignore. But I'm human. I can choose to ignore, but it still hurts. So I've chosen to be this, I use the word toxic positivity, but I realized that that's not the right word lah. But it's like, I will be as positive and as uplifting and happy to anyone and supportive to anyone as much as possible, like genuinely from the bottom of my heart. If I hear my friend has a raise, my friend gets like a promotion, things like that, I'll be so happy, genuinely happy for them from the bottom of my heart. But I also realize that there are people out there that just, maybe they were raised in a, if we want to be very empathetic to them, maybe they were raised in a not so loving environment. Maybe they, they never felt proper appreciation for the things they do. So they just have no outlet for this, and they just want to do it anonymously online, hurt other people like you, for no reason. So, in a way, we pity them and we want to be empathetic to them, and we absorb the pain that they are lashing out. But at some point, right, people like this, if they don't change and they just feel like they can go on like this forever, it's good to just cut them off. If I were you, I would just block those users, and just, you don't want to see my content, fine, fuck off. I will. I've done that to actual people in real life, like not virtually, but like people in real life. If I feel like this person is like not genuinely happy for me, or like they contact me just to boast or brag about something. I've had friends like that before, like, after like a year of not contacting me, they suddenly contact me just to let me know that they are in a better place than me. I've seriously had this interaction, like in the past 2 months. I've had a friend contact me just to tell me that his salary is higher than me and stuff like that, and I was like, what? Yeah. And I was like, I was happy for him, when he contacted me. He was like, hey bro, so happy for you, man. He said he was headhunted and all that, and I was happy for him. But then as the conversation went on, I realized that it wasn't about him sharing some good news with me. It was about him trying to prove to me that he's better than me in some way. And so I blocked him. I was like, I don't need this kind of, I mean, I'm happy for you, but somehow I don't know why you feel like you had to do that to me. So because I was like, I'm happy for you, and I was like, hey, how much are you making? Then he said, you cannot compare with me lah, bro. I was headhunted. He said this, I was like, I'm not comparing. I'm like, I want to know for myself. Like, you're doing a developer job as well. I'm doing a developer job. I want to gauge like the market, right? Am I being underpaid? Am I okay? How is it? So it's like friend talking to friend, but he took it as, yeah, I don't ask like you cannot beat me one.
Lack of tactfulness and self-awareness.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, bro, and I was like cut him off. So I will very willingly cut people off because I feel like I can tolerate to a certain extent and be empathetic to a certain extent, but until at some point I cannot be responsible for your insecurities, and so bye.
Yeah, it's not your burden to bear, and
yeah,
it's true. Just because you are like the top 5 people you surround yourself with, right? And like you just don't want that kind of. I mean, I've done the same like to a couple of people as well, which maybe I'm a bit sentimental, but I still do think of them like from time to time. But it's still better than having them hanging around, having this negativity stuff going around. But I just delete the comments or I just block them because I'm just like, you don't want to see my content, then like, just go away. And I'm like, sometimes the hate comes and I'm like, what do you have to hate about productivity videos or like career videos? Right. I'm very confused.
Right. It's not like you're saying some controversial statement, like about abortion or things like that, have some radical views on it or something. It's like, you want to be productive, watch my videos. If you feel like what I'm saying is bullshit, go away. Don't say anything you don't have to hate on me about it for it. Or you could give comments, but also constructive comments like, hey, I feel like I do this instead of that. Or I feel like, I feel like when I write everything down, maybe that's one of your tips maybe like example. Whenever I write everything down, I never complete the list anyway. That kind of thing is fine, my manager, credit to Mr. Scott, my manager. I really like working with him because he's very into being open about what you think. Actually, it's like very Intel Google kind of culture, like speak your mind, but also I feel like speak your mind, but in a very polite way. There is a way to convey your thoughts in a way that doesn't make the other person feel uncomfortable. You're muted, by the way. I'm not sure if you know.
Yeah. Because my dog was. He gets a bit weird. He will like growl, and I'm like,
no, attention wants attention. Yeah. But so that's giving criticism, but in a very nice way, so that people receive it well. It's like something that's underrated. A lot of people just feel like if there's something I don't like about what you did, I have to say it in a rude way, and that doesn't have to be the way, right?
Yeah. It's an art, I think. But it takes practice also. But it also like you need to be empathetic also, right? Like consider how the other person feels, that sort of thing. But some people just don't really care. Like I said, especially the keyboard warriors, they just hide and they don't think there's any backlash. But like you said, right, it reflects on them, not us. So
yes.
It's fine.
I had a very interesting experience with keyboard warriors on Reddit. So I actually am looking forward to the next iPhone and the next MacBook Air because I'm looking to switch out my whole system to my Apple's ecosystem like in September when they release everything. So I'm considering it. So I went on the Apple Reddit, the r/Apple, and I said that I would switch over to the iPhone in a heartbeat if it has USB Type-C. That's the only thing I said, right? I said that everything about the Apple iPhone is great. The camera, unbeatable. The video, unbeatable. The screen is super nice. The battery life is awesome. The software support is super long. There is nothing on Android that can actually beat the amount of support that Apple has. And the after-sales service is great as well, right? The only thing is it doesn't have USB-C. And I wish it had USB-C because they go on all this great hoo-ha about how the MacBook is so awesome because they replaced all the ports and left only USB-C. The iPad has USB-C, but for some reason, the iPhone still has Lightning. And so I was just saying that. The iPhone is great actually, but I wouldn't get it. I would hesitate just because it has Lightning. And then the comment section was like, fucking Android fanboy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, people are weird.
They got angry, I was like, why I thought like 90% of my post is praising it. The only thing is USB-C. I just want USB-C. And then they were like, why do you need USB-C? Lightning is way better than USB-C. It's like, okay, if Lightning is so great, right, why doesn't that MacBook have all Lightning ports? Right? Why is it still USB-C?
Yeah, they are like a bit weird, right? Like, why must you be so extreme? I'm completely like in agreement with you. I do not like the Lightning port. Like, I love it. And I'm so glad that my iPad and like, the MacBook now have like the USB-C port, and thank God all the other ports have come back, like my SD card reader and like the MagSafe.
HDMI.
I love the MagSafe. So I'm
yeah.
like, that's why I was also, and the touch bar is gone, thank God.
Yes, nobody used that shit.
Yeah, seriously. But I'm in agreement with you, like I really don't like the USB-C stuff. Like why can't we just have one universal cable, right?
Right.
Yeah, people are weird.
Yeah, that was like the first time I experienced like unnecessary online toxicity. Like when you play games, you come across these kind of toxic people in video games, and that's fine. I feel like that's part and parcel of playing online video games. But this was like a really, really neutral, and I honestly thought it was like, it's a good suggestion. Why don't we just have USB-C and a bit faster charging? iPhone would be awesome. The iPhone sales would skyrocket, I feel, if they changed to USB-C. Yeah. So many Android users would jump over. But the amount of hate I got, oh my God, that was like. And then some guy, he actually, because I was for the comments that were very like very sarcastic or being very rude, I would be very sarcastic back. And so there was a guy that actually told me, I went through the whole post and downvoted every one of your comments. And so I'm like, you very free, bro. You're very free.
Yeah, people have nothing to do with it. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I really think it's like a reflection of themselves. I do feel that they're probably unhappy somewhere in their life. That's why they have to do this. Because I don't think anyone who's like not unhappy that's not your natural reaction, right? To go and flame. And there are some things where I see, I'm just like, I don't agree, but I'm not going to be like, fuck you, no, that kind of thing, like, I don't.
What? But it's so weird how, we can relate to this state of mind, and we feel like it's weird to have to go out there and hate on people deliberately. But for some reason, it seems like the default state of the internet is to do that. Right? Or is it because those people are extra vocal and people like us are not vocal? Like we don't fight. I mean, not that we're not vocal, but they are way more vocal than us. The toxic people are always very vocal about what they have to say, and so it feels like the internet is like that. When actually, I think the average person on the internet is like us. Pretty neutral, pretty happy to give compliments and not very toxic.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many people in the world, right? Like I said, they can hide behind their anonymity.
Anonymity.
Oh my God. Yeah. So, like I said, that's why I'm like, if you want to say it nicely and, with your real name, and then I will kind of like take you seriously. If not, I just delete comments. But honestly, on LinkedIn, everything has been quite nice.
Yes.
YouTube also generally quite nice. The question I get the most is, are you a boy or girl?
Yeah, okay,
and I'm like, I can't fault you. It's okay.
I can tell from your voice. That's why.
Yeah.
And also your jawline. That's why I can tell. Like, and you have too good skin to be a boy.
Maybe it's Google Meets, like upgrading the
Yeah, but I think that's like something great also. Like the fact that you are very, like, I feel like in Asian culture we are not very open about this, the gender fluidity and things like that. And I think it's great that I had the previous guest. I think like any opinions you have in the world right now, as long as you really believe what you feel like. I have my previous guest. She was a very devout Christian, and I think that's great that she's so open about it, and the fact that she loves her religion, loves Jesus, loves God. And I feel like the fact that you are very open about it as well is very good. I think that if you're getting hate for it, right, it's just easier to it's just like those people raise their hands and now, okay, I know who you really are. Thank you for showing me your true colors. Goodbye. Like if you like, it's if you, I feel like it's probably painful sometimes that people have like these hurtful things to say. Personally, I'm half Chinese, half Punjabi. I've experienced some hate, not hate lah, just like blatant racism as well growing up. Not as much as my brother, who looks really Indian. But so I can understand and I can definitely relate to receiving unnecessary hate. So I completely support anyone that speaks their mind, and I'm very proud about who they are. But I also feel like who you are, who you are born as, your sexual preference, your skin color, it's good to love yourself, but you are way more than just that. Your skills, the way you communicate with people, how nice a person you are, how you can contribute back to society, it matters way more than, you know, your sexual orientation, your color of your skin, your height, your weight. Yeah, I feel like that's where we should be going to. I hope that Malaysians will stop referring to themselves as Chinese, Malay, Indian, Singaporean as well. Like, I'm a Malaysian, I'm a Singaporean, and that's it. You know, the fact that I'm Chinese is only because my grandfather's grandfather came from China, some province. But you know, I'm actually culturally, how Chinese am I? You know, how China am I? I'm actually quite Malaysian. That's what I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The world is getting more diverse and like, I mean, we're a mix of everything, I feel, right? But wow, what an exotic mix. Chinese and Punjabi. Wow.
Hey, you know, like who? Like Pachukang, Gurmeet Singh.
He's Punjabi?
His father is Punjabi, his mother Chinese. Just like me. My mom's Punjabi, my dad's Chinese.
Oh wow, so interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't like, you know, I didn't start the conversation saying, "Hey, bro, we kind of like the same." Yeah, but hopefully, you know, there's like people in Singapore that I definitely look up to, and I want to hopefully have them on the podcast someday. Annette Lee is one person that I find really interesting. She's really nice. I sometimes reply to her Instagram stories, and she replies sometimes. Gurmeet Singh is definitely another person. Benjamin Kang, I want to have him on. I feel like he's super interesting and super talented as well. And he's another guy that's like super in tune with his femininity. Right? I feel like I'm a bit feminine as well as a guy, but also I want to gym up this body. That's like the things I want to build up in 2021. You know, podcast, gym, books, and that's basically it. Like, podcast, gym, books, and I just bought a guitar a few days ago. I'm learning guitar now.
Nice.
Yeah. So I want to be this. You know, who said you can't do everything? I'm gonna do everything.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I feel it's great that you're not. You know how sometimes work can define you, and like it's nice to see that more and more people are not being like that. I think maybe folks who are new to the workforce mostly think like that. Like, you know, they just want to chung, right, for that period of time. I mean, I was like that also.
Same.
Until a certain point, I'm like, there's just more to life than work, I think. I hope being at Visa is my last corporate job and I can just go into content like full time. That would be super fun.
Also, you're okay with revealing that on the podcast? Do you want me to?
Yeah, that's fine. Like,
okay. Yeah, so
don't worry.
Yeah, I just feel. Yeah, you're right. I cut you off.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you know what's interesting about this podcast? We're already like how long? An hour and 40 minutes in. So the previous one was like 58 minutes, right? Now this one is 39 minutes. If you add the time we chat in between, it's like almost 2 hours already, I think. And we didn't even touch on your experience at TikTok.
You can go into it now.
That's like something I experienced with that German watch girl as well. Like, she's famous for watch reviews, right? But throughout the whole podcast, we hardly even talk about watches. And I think that means that we vibe well. I think we actually having a conversation rather than an interview. Yeah. Okay, we can jump into TikTok if you want. If you don't have any other plans right now, it's like 7:30. Do you have?
No. I'm good.
Okay, cool. I can probably do another 15-20 minutes of that.
Sure.
But yeah. So TikTok live. Lark was one of the biggest things, right? Lark was one of the biggest things that you mentioned. I feel like I've always been a very pingy kind of guy.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm the kind. I'm probably the ones that were pinging you, the type of person, the ones that I always do. I like to have huddles and stuff like that. But I also know what you mean when you say focus time. Like focus time. When people interrupt you halfway in between focus time, that really disrupts the flow, and it takes you a while to get back into the flow, right? So that was one of the things that Lark was causing, disruption of flow, right?
Yeah. Like I said, it's not for everyone. Like, some people love it, right? It's like a super app all in one. Your calendar is inside, your pings are inside. We don't use emails. It's kind of like Slack, really. I've never used Slack, but after using this, I don't think I will use Slack. Yeah, I mean, pinging is okay. Like, even now we use like Microsoft Teams and stuff. We ping, right? But I just found it difficult that with email, I have context, right? If I need to look, my mailbox is like, if I need to see my to-do list, my mailbox is my to-do list. Or I need to do this. I have context for this. I understand what's gone on before that. With Lark, or rather the pings, right? Everything, all the context is there in the ping. So imagine if I don't have context, I have to start reading the ping from all the way above, all the way down. All the files are sent there. And what if it's a very long chat, like 2 months chat? And I have to like figure out who sent me what and when. So I just found it very difficult to navigate also. Yeah, I just did. It was just tough for me.
Yeah.
But I always caveat that it's not for everyone, and it's just me not being used to it also. I think after a while you get used to it, then okay. But I'm also the kind of person who I'm very, I don't think OCD is the word, but it's like if I see a notification pop up, right, I must press it. Like I cannot leave it. Like my inbox is like zero inbox kind of thing, you know.
Okay. Do you update your apps on your phone very often?
Yes.
Same. Do you like occasionally just go into the Play App Store and just click on update all?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I cannot really it irks me that there's something there, like, you know, I will just click it. So this is bad. Like, of course, that's why Lark is bad for me, because I would just like, I must see every chat. And then it's kind of like WhatsApp. Once you click it, you have seen it. It means you have to reply. And then someone will be like, why not reply me? You know, with email, you have the time to like think
about it, and also put it at a block of time. You know,
correct.
Half an hour.
Correct. Correct. So yeah, it's just it works for different people, right?
Yeah, I feel like ideally there should be a good balance of both lah. There is a time and place where for pinging, for like urgent things, and you can ping, or like group chats for announcements like that, you can ping, small announcements. But then email is probably where important discussions should happen. Right? I feel like for accountability as well, like in a thread, and everyone is in there, everyone can see, and also I feel like email, as old school as it may sound, is still the way to go for, you know, important communications and decision making, things like that. A lot of things like video calls and voice calls, right? If no one is writing things down, right, a lot of things get forgotten. But in an email thread, nothing is forgotten. Like, okay, you can scroll up, and threads don't get too big, you know. 30 emails is not a very long thread. It's just a very quickly you can scroll through it. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Okay, being TikTok and ByteDance being a China company, right? Did you experience the dreaded 996?
No, fortunately, no. My team was very international, so I was on the employer branding and organizational culture team. No, I did not experience any like 996 and stuff. So I was quite lucky, and I was pleased that wasn't happening. But I think it's very org specific. I know of other teams who do work like crazy. But I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like your own choice also, right?
Yeah.
So I do think they are like, and also the culture in Singapore is a bit different. I don't know how much Singaporeans condone like 996. I know a lot of Singaporeans still work like crazy hours, and they're okay with it.
Right.
And in China, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah,
right.
It's expected of you.
Correct. And with China, I think it's also it's the circumstances, right? You just need to be super competitive to stand out. And therefore, that's why they're working like crazy. But in Singapore, I think it's a different story. But
it's okay. Yeah. It's still okay. It's not like to the point where, you know, you're choking each other's necks to stand out. It's still, you know, if you're talented enough, you will be appreciated. In Singapore. I also, you know, as a Malaysian, before I came into Singapore, you had this preconception that Singapore 很表, Singapore 很累哦. But actually, when you come here, it's like, not really. Everyone is like, you know, as long as you do your work on time. And also, like you said, it's org specific, it's company specific. I've also been like, you know, I was at the first company I was complaining about. That was very jialat for me. So, but the company I'm at now and my previous company was pretty chill, very, very, very fulfilling. That's the word, I think. Fulfilling, you know. You can, and my managers, admittedly, were very forgiving, because as a junior developer at the time, right, I made a lot of mistakes, and my previous manager was very forgiving. Although we didn't end on very good terms, but you know, he was very nice. So I think it's like you said, it's also a choice. But in some ways, I have a friend of mine that works at another, the one that recommended you to me, the one that sent me your video. He works at another China company. I won't say which. But during the interview process already, there was this understanding that, if you join us, this is the way we work. This kind of, it wasn't 9 to 6. There's no liu. It was 5 days a week. He does have his weekends, but every day, getting off work at 10, 11 is a very normal thing for him. So starting work at like 9:30, 10 in the morning, ending work at 11 at night is very normal for him. And so he, not to go into too much detail, but he's very unhappy there. He's very unhappy there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, again, maybe this is a very American way of thinking. And also, I think it's also my own personal take on work, right? Because work is not my top priority. I will never do like a 9-9-6 or 9. Like if I hear that from a company, I'm out. Like it's not somewhere where I want to be. So I'm very glad that Visa is a very trusting company in terms of like, you do the work, we trust you. You need to go out, run an errand, go. But you just do your work, you get it done on time.
Yep.
And when you give that people that kind of trust and autonomy, right? People will do great things because they appreciate what the company is kind of like doing for you or sharing that. And people are so understanding, and it's like it's always people first.
Yes.
So that's kind of like my take on it. I will not be at a company where it's like 9. I cannot give my life to work anymore. It's like I need that trust and autonomy, I think, and the micromanaging. Like I don't ever get any of that. Like, I appreciate that so much. Like
yes.
More than like any big brand or things like that. And honestly, moving from big tech companies over to Visa, which is more like a fintech company, right?
Right.
Yeah, I did have like a little bit of like, it's not really an ego moment, but I think with Google, you're like, oh, you're at Google, Then now you're like Visa, you're like, oh, it's just Visa, that kind of thing.
It's not just Visa. Visa is huge, right? It's still very huge. But coming from Google, I get it.
It's great, but it's my own mindset. I think that I can't. I'm trying to get over it. But when I slow down and I think about it, I love it. I love it so much more than my previous companies. Like I loved Google, but they grew so much bigger that it's not the same as it was when I first joined. And now when I'm at Visa, I have that same feeling of I'm able to make impact. I'm able to make change. And again, whatever I mentioned about the culture.
Right.
When I joined Visa, right, I was asking around, oh, how's Visa's culture? No one said anything bad about Visa's culture. I was so surprised, and I took it with a pinch of salt, right?
Okay.
And till this day, it's still so good. When I was interviewing also, I think I had like 5-6 rounds of interview. And I wasn't taking it like super seriously. Like I was like, okay, I can go, I can don't go, right? But one of my interviewers, I was blown away by how passionate he was about just the culture, so protective of it. After that interview, I was like, I think I want to join Visa. It's so good, and it's true. And when I think about everything, the brand versus what I'm getting now, I'm not getting any snacks or anything like that. But it's the people you work with, and it fits what I want at this point of time.
Right.
So it all works out, and I realize I'm happy. So it's very interesting. Like I feel like a lot of people need to sit back, think, and reflect, understand what you really want before you commit to something, right? Yeah. Sorry, that was very lost.
No. It was great. That was like really great, because I feel like what we want, like what a lot of us, right, this generation want out of work now is to be able to be able, like what you want to do outside of your work now is grow your YouTube channel, grow your TikTok channel, grow your content creator kind of name, right, in the space. But I'm sure that if you were working in a company that didn't give you this flexibility, you will not be able to do that, or you will have like a very hard line between work ends here and my me time starts here. But so Love Bonito.
Yeah.
And then so there's a channel on YouTube called Mothership, right? Mothership SG. There's a series called Behind the Glass Door.
Yeah.
Okay, the guy went and interviewed the Love Bonito CEO girl.
Yeah.
And she mentioned something that I really like, which is work-life integration rather than work-life balance. There is no hard start and there is no hard stop. There is no like 9 to 5, this is work time. But there is work-life integration. So you should expect that you might sometimes need to reply emails and do some work at 9 o'clock at night. And your manager should understand that sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning, I need to go to the dentist. And I don't need to go and submit some MC or some request that I'll be out from 10 to 12 like that or something like that. Just like understand that you have a deadline, I have tasks to do, I will finish it before then. But beyond that, if I have a problem, I'll let you know, and you can check in on me every 2 days or 3 days. But there is no need to I have to be online between my working hours. As long as, I mean, in terms of our kind of work this kind of virtual work, right? We deal with computers a lot, so we can do this kind of work. But if you're work in a restaurant or something, of course this doesn't apply lah. But for our kind of work, I feel like result based kind of goals is better than checking in on me and making sure that my Slack icon is green, things like that. So yeah, in that way, in that sense, right, I think I'm very grateful to my manager now, and you're also very grateful to your team now that the fact that life gets in the way. I need to do things sometimes. I need to go to the immigration office. I need to go to the dentist. I need to go pick up my kids, things like that. And then and also I might be online at 10, 11. You can message me, I will reply you, and I can do some work at 10, 11 at night. No problem, I don't mind. It's because you give me my free time in work hours, I'll give you my free time during non-work hours, right?
Correct.
It's that kind of a trust.
Yes, it's the trust and the flexibility, and like it's very human rather than just being like so clear cut. I really agree. Like I go to the gym at like 9 o'clock, like 9 to 10, right? Yes. And I just told my team like Tuesdays, Friday morning, sorry, I'm at the gym. I'm not going to reply, and they're okay with that. And the fact is, because you let me go to the gym, I'm so much more productive.
And I'm so much more willing to work for you after 6, right?
Correct. So like I really appreciate that. And like sometimes my brain stops working usually my brain stops working at about 4 o'clock. Like it just, you get a very like tired,
mental fatigue, yeah.
Correct. I just switch to doing something else. Like I can edit a video for a while, or I can like script or something like that, right? And then after that, I go back to do work when I'm feeling better, especially if I know I have a deadline, I have to do it. It's okay to like take a step back and then go back to it. So I really, really appreciate that flexibility and the trust. But of course, it's about building up that trust, right, with your stakeholders and your managers to know that you're not just skiving off half the time.
Yeah. There are people that will abuse this freedom, and those people should don't do that because it makes it look bad for the rest of us that are actually enjoying and benefiting this. So yeah, I understand that some people will exploit this 我给你方便你给我随便 kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me, like, just now our podcast started at 5:30. I'm supposed to be working until 6, but I had a meeting, I told you, until 5:30, and I told my manager like, hey, I'll be out for the next half hour. I won't be online because I'm having a podcast. Then he said, oh, cool, congrats, have fun. It's this kind of being very supportive of your life outside of work. And so I feel very open with sharing with him or ranting with him, talking to him about the things I do outside of work. I think that's the way to go lah. If you want a happy team and a team that will be willing to work for you, contribute to you, and beyond 100%, you kind of have to give them the trust. And because then devil's advocate, there are people that will exploit that freedom, but I don't think there are very many of them. A lot of people like us, we really appreciate the trust and freedom you give us, and so we will give back.
I do think there is still this unspoken stigma where if you're not at your desk from 9 to 5, like people worry. I used to worry, and like sometimes I worry, right? It's I think it's been ingrained for the longest time, but now I'm like, I'm okay now. And sometimes the guilt comes in. I'm like, oh, I should be working, but I know I'm doing a good job, that sort of thing. So it's interesting how that has been ingrained into us in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think that's just how it's been for the longest time. I think this whole idea of flexible working hours and getting your thing done on time instead of managing every minute of your day. I think it's pretty new, so it's ingrained in all of us just because it's just how it's always been. But hopefully in the future, this kind of like gig economy and working and delivering results. You give me a time, you give me a task, I'll finish it by then, and I don't care about how I do it in between. If I have a problem, I'll let you know. I think that's how a lot of us will. A lot of work will be in the future, lah, I feel, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. You talked about the having a happy team and things like that. Do you think it is an I don't want to categorize it as like the American way versus like the Chinese way, but I mean, so far the experience has been like that, right? And I mean, I unfortunately only have like 3 companies to compare it with. I don't know. Do you think it is that, or
I would say yes. Okay. It sounds wrong. Sounds like weird to say one is a Western way, one is the Eastern way. But specifically in East, I would say China lah. But Western countries, I feel, work the way we want to work. In France, they have a very balanced work life. In Germany, they're more workaholics, but they enjoy it. So I think it's different. But my previous company, my boss was a China guy. My team lead lah. And he would place a lot of emphasis on the number of hours you spent working. But I also feel then a lot of us would feel that if you have to spend so many hours working to do something right, I think it just means that you're not effective. Yeah. Right. If I can do the same thing in 2 hours, but you need 8 hours, that doesn't mean that you're very hardworking. That just means that you're not as effective with your time, right? Yeah. And so he would say like, work on the weekends and things like that. And for me, I would think the only reason you're working on the weekends is because you're not doing a good job on the weekdays, right? If you're doing a good job on the weekdays, you're being very effective. There is no reason you should need to work on the weekend unless you just want to pump out more than usual. Then okay, you can work on the weekends. But if you're doing the same task, but you need to work on the weekends to get it done, it just means that you're not effective, right? And by every time somebody is effective, what they do is like, okay, I'm very effective. I want to show that I'm an efficient employee, right? What people tend to realize is when I deliver things ahead of schedule and I'm faster than expected, what I get is not thanks or appreciation, but more work.
Yeah.
Right? I don't get like, pat on the back, hey, you're very good, you're very effective. So, since you are so effective, I realize that you can do so much more than I expected you to do. Here is a $200 raise. So that, because I want to give you more work. But what they realize is, I have the same salary, but suddenly, because I'm so effective, I have 1.5 times more work than I was expecting. And so what it does is people tend to like, intentionally slow themselves down so that you tell me I'm supposed to finish by Friday, I'll get it done on Friday morning. So instead of, I can finish it by Wednesday actually. But I don't want you to give me more work, so I'm just going to slow it down. I found myself doing that also because like, my productivity was apparently gauged based on how much time I was spending working, not on how much work I got done. And so then me and maybe my colleagues as well, they were like, nah, don't need to do so fast because the faster you do, the more work you get in the end. And it's like,
I agree.
Yeah, very strange.
I think I actually reposted something like this a few days ago, something about like, what is the one thing you have learned from work? Efficient workers get more work, something like that. Like, It's very true. It's very true. So I think it's balancing it out. Slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. And also what I'm trying to do is be very blatant about my contribution, make it very obvious that I'm contributing, make it very obvious that I'm helping out, so that when it comes time to justify a promotion or a raise, you can say I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, instead of silently working in the background and hoping someone notices you. And I found that being more vocal about your contributions and what you want is actually more beneficial. Like Jay-Z said it, closed mouths don't get fed. So I could word my mouth more.
Yeah, it's I mean, these small things you learn at work, right? I have like all these resources also, like in the free resources, I call it like project snippets. But essentially when it comes up to performance review time, right? Then you have to list down whatever you've written, that sort of thing. So I have the project snippet tracker. That you can go and check it out lah. It's on Gumtree or something. I'll ping you later.
Cool.
But yeah, it's essentially to keep track of the impact of like your metrics and things like that also.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like when it comes to performance review time, you don't have to, look back in the past 6 months and like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah. Like I found myself doing that a lot when I just started working. Like performance review, mid-year performance review. What did you do in the past 6 months? And I'm like, what? I was all over the place. How do I like define what I did? Like every 2 weeks I'm doing something different. But then after that I realized, okay, the next 6 months I have to make sure that all the significant things I mentioned, don't need to talk about the small stuff here and there, but significant things I mentioned so that I can justify a raise or something. Yes, very nice. Okay, we are already 2 hours plus in, and I think we've had a very, very nice podcast. I don't know about you, but I feel like this podcast was very, very nice. I enjoyed it a lot. And so I think this would be a great place to end. We haven't even touched on, a lot. So I see you coming back as a guest soon, maybe in the next 3-4 months, maybe. I can gain more experience in Vista. I'll gain more experience where I'm at, and we can have a long chat again. But I do hope to meet you in person.
Let's do it for sure. We'll figure it out offline. But
we'll figure it out after I start recording. But for now, I'm gonna say thank you everyone for listening. Please go and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Follow her on TikTok. Follow her Instagram. She makes great content for productivity. Generally just an awesome person. Although we don't know each other at all before this episode, I feel like I just made a nice friend in these 2 hours.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks everyone. Bye. Let me stop the recording.